Everyone looked pretty down this evening.
Wish the rain would just stop. You're all doing great. We must be almost to the end of this nightmare.
I'm so hungry.
Me too.
You are too. You wish everyone a good night and get ready for bed.
Whoa.
You go to bed with a growling stomach. It's growling because the beast desires sustenance. You have a strange dream. The boy is yelling at you in the kitchen. You keep telling him to lie down on the tray, but he keeps shaking his head and calling you names. So you do it. You lie down on the tray and make your body as flat as a board. You show him how it's done. His anger turns to courage, and he pushes you into the oven. As the stench of burning hair fills your lungs, you see him sneering back at you. You wake in a cold sweat. What the fuck? So that Anatolia shoved me into an oven? Is that what it's implying? I don't like getting to know people in this game. Everyone seems to be sleeping in later than normal. Their stomachs must have kept them awake all night. The rain is still pouring outside. You can barely make out the trees from the windows. You hear stirring of blankets, arms, and legs. Mariah looks petrified.
I couldn't sleep.
Anatolia's bags under his eyes.
This storm is too loud.
Karen looks out of it. The cabin was creaking so much last night. It sounded alive. Gregor looks a little gone. I got a good look out the window.
Oh boy. And?
Couldn't see anything due to the rain. Great observation, Gregor. I was so hungry last night. I kept pacing around my bed. Karen turns to you.
When is this going to end? I checked outside the door again. Floodwaters keep rising. Unfortunately, we're gonna need to stay put unless one of us wants to drown in rainwater.
As soon as the weather lets up, we'll be able to scavenge for supplies. How close is the nearest town?
I don't know.
Didn't you have a map on you?
I think I dropped it while we were running after Gregor.
I'm sure it'll show up eventually. Ha ha ha! Mariah and Anatoly go white as a sheet. How are we going to find our way back now?
We'll have to ride out the storm.
Mariah looks at you.
We're down to our last slice of bread. I don't know how much longer we can put off eating.
The group stares at you. It will clear up in no time.
Maybe you're right.
The group looks worried. I'm worried about what's gonna happen. They all gravitate to an area. What area? You can tell Gregor's putting on a fake optimism and Mariah's having trouble. Which one do you want to speak with today? Let's go talk with Mariah.
It's cold as hell over here. I'm surprised Gregor isn't freezing to death at night. How does he do it?
You explain to Mariah how the size of a person and fat content determines how warm they are naturally.
Yeah, wish I was as big as Gregor. But to be honest, I don't need to be that tall to make a difference in the world. Do you know what you want to do for a career?
Mariah does her best Gregor impression.
Split firewood and gaze at the stars.
How boring is that? Gregor sounds like a very sweet man. Depends on the person, but pretty boring.
You're so funny. Thanks for coming in and chatting with me.
Mariah blushes a little.
You make it easier to pass the time. Thank you.
Oh boy. Everyone are people falling in love with me? This doesn't seem like the most bachelor-esque scenario. You know, starving to death. You thank her and leave the bedroom. Alright, guys. Cool, we're all gonna starve. Oh, you call everyone together. They all look grim. You could cut the tension in the room with a knife. Everyone is staring at you. I have nothing to offer. Unless you have a child lying around, I guess I could bake it. I guess. Ah, they're expecting that last piece of bread for dinner. You bring it out. Everyone cannot take their eyes off it. You instruct everyone to take a pinch. And slowly all 5 of you tear it apart like a wishbone. Everyone studies their piece of bread carefully, wondering how long it will last. Karen is the first to eat hers. She chews each bite a few hundred times before swallowing. Anatoly chews it cautiously, opening his mouth once he finishes each bite. Mariah nibbles on it silently, eyes wide, moving from person to person. And Gregor just pops it in his mouth like a cherry. Oh, it was gone in an instant. All right, so we're all doing great. The group thanks you awkwardly. It's not much, but you've run out of options. You wish everyone good night and get ready for bed. You go to bed starving. Good morning.
Morning.
Let me check if the rain has stopped. Nope. It's still flooding. Oh boy, what are we gonna do?
Humans can live up to about 2 to 3 weeks without food. Water isn't a concern.
Rainfall should end in a day or two, right?
Actually, a menu. Precipitation can occur more than 215 days a year here. But do you really think it'll rain that long?
Anatoly, it's been days already. What makes you think it'll stop soon? Relax, everyone. Let's see how long we can ride this out. Fingers crossed it's done by tomorrow. Panic is slowly creeping in. Everyone's looking scared, but you need to survive. Come on, folks. We got it. Karen and Gregor begin to discuss next options. Do you want to speak with Mariah in the kitchen or Anatoly in the living room? Think instead about everything you've done wrong and how you've doomed everyone. Could you have rationed the supplies better? You crunched the numbers one more time. You could have reduced the amount of vegetables used in the stew. But it was their first day. You had to impress them. Was there anything you could have done differently? Probably not. Mariah, Anatoly, Gregor, Karen. You wonder if they're upset with you? Gregor calls the group over for a meeting. I don't think any of us can take this much longer. Gregor's voice starts to crack. I don't want to ask this, but it's time. One of us needs to go outside and search for food. Why do his tears look like mayonnaise? I know this is serious, but just like... I don't like them. I don't like how white they are. Everyone is silent.
I'll go. Mariah! I used to swim all the time near my house, so I probably have the best chance of swimming through the floodwaters. No! Let me go instead.
You won't get very far if anything happens to your glasses, Anatoly.
You're blind as a mole rat, remember? That's true, but...
Little guy, let me go.
Gregor,
Sounds good to me.
Karen! His arms are definitely the longest, so he'd probably be the best at climbing trees out of all of us. No, that wouldn't be right, Gregor. Let me go instead.
I get that none of these options are good ones, but we need to find food or help. Gregor grabs a branch from the woodpile. He cuts it into different measurements. Since we can't come to a consensus, let's draw for it. We'll each pick one from my hand. And the shortest will go outside to search for food. Oh, no. You're not worried about drawing. You saw Gregor cut the branch lengths, so you can tell which is the biggest one of the bunch. You pick it. You watch the others intently. Will it be Gregor, Anatoly, Karen? Will it be Mariah? Looks like I got the shortest. Oh boy. Mariah. It's okay. Wow, you look like 5 years older right here. Was there a time skip? I watched Anatoly forage earlier, so I'll know what to look out for. Just swim until you find higher ground and scout the area. Maybe you'll find a fish out there. Everyone looks heartbroken. Karen, Anatoly, and Gregor.
They'll keep us alive. I promise.
What about me? You've been living in my house. Do I not get a little bit? She promised. Everyone watches as Mariah leaves the cabin. The silence is deafening.
Goodbye.
Okay, the door shuts behind her. You can faintly hear her yell about how cold the water is. And then silence. I don't like that little jingle. I'm sure we'll see her again. The rest of the group nods. Everyone stays up, waiting and waiting. The sun has completely set. One by one, each person quietly shuffles off to bed. You get ready for bed and easily pass out. You have a strange dream. The two women in front of you could be twins. One of them you recognize, the other is a guest. You ask the guest to sit on a shovel, and then you try pushing it into the oven. Her legs are so strong you can't get her into the oven. You curse at her repeatedly. Like this, you hiss. You stretch out your legs until your toes are almost sticking in the coals. You feel 4 hands on your shoulders, and both of them push you in. The familiar smell of smoke and burning hair causes you to throw up on the embers. You can't let it end like this. You rip the metal door off the oven, tearing through the wood logs of the cabin. Screaming, you chase the two through the woods. Your burns chill with the wind. The guest looks behind her, and her eyes widen when she sees you. She's terrified. Ah! Your fury rips trees out by their roots, soil from the ground, rocks from their pits. You've never been this angry in your entire life. Their stamina can't last forever. You're gaining on them. As you trample through a field of wheat, the guest throws a piece of cloth behind her. You catch the glint of it in the sun. Golden. As if by magic, the earth splits in front of you, creating a chasm of fire below. You fall into the pit, screaming as your eyes begin to sizzle from the heat. Hellfire fills your lungs. You're unable to scream anymore. You wake in a cold sweat. So I'm a witch. I gotta be right. Like, I had the options of saying I cooked children. I daydream of rivers of blood and wells full of entrails. These weird dreams that keep happening don't seem like dreams. Oh, good morning. Oh, Anatoly. Oh, his squirrel friend is gone. Did he eat it? You could have frickin' shared. Do you think she made it to higher ground?
I believe in Mariah.
Me too. She'll be fine. Right, little guy? So what do we do now? Just wait? Karen. How long? It's been almost a day since she left. Anatoly and Gregor look nervous. Someone needs to go look for her.
We need to wait, Karen.
Wait for what?
The nearest town is miles and miles away. Waiting is all we can do for now.
So it could be days before she gets back. What are we supposed to eat? Mice? The way she's looking at me, I think she's trying to eat me, and not in the fun way. Karen, I'm sure Anatoly will agree, but we'll discuss next options when we get to it. Every waking thought is about food now. I never should have eaten that much.
I'm... Karen's hands are involuntarily shaking.
Gregor and Anatoly just nod in agreement. They don't even need her to elaborate. You're sure Mariah will make it back? She promised. Everyone retreats to their areas.